Hey everybody, it's Funny here once again. Hope you're doing well. Today we are mispronouncing the Mzourack Diktaat. It's a 10 HP trigger sequencer for your rack, and it sounds like this. Okay, before we get started, apologies if I sound extra weird today. I'm still getting over a sinus infection. I completely lost my voice the last couple of days, so I'm super excited to finally be starting to have it back, and even more excited to talk about the Diktaat, so let's get started with that one. So what is it? 10 HP, 4-track trigger sequencer with a focus on probability, on performance, on creating fills, on not generative, but like performing, right? I know those are all like super ambiguous terms, so I think the best way to just explain it all is to go through it step by step and explore it together. I'm still very new to this, but I'm still very excited, and I think it's fun to check it out together on the fly. So I always say I don't envy your rack manufacturers at all, because some of the things that I really dislike on like the Morphogene or the Rene comes to mind that are super button combo-y in some contexts, I find really endearing on things like the Diktaat or the Floating Knobs Cuisine. There's like something about them in this context feels very fun. It feels like a video game, like landing, I don't know, like a button combo, for lack of a better word. It just feels like explorative and like a game, like solving a puzzle, which ironically, like I just said, it's like the same reason I hate other modules, but in the case of the Diktaat, it just feels like really fun and intuitive. And the best way I describe like everything that's going on here is like clever. Like it feels like everything they've done has been like really thoughtful and is like cheeky almost, right? Like, so we'll get into it and I'll just go through that, but I just want to say up front, it is pretty button combo-y, so unfortunately the manual is going to be super required, but just like the Floating Knobs Cuisine, you're going to feel super awesome when you do land those critical hits, I guess, on certain stuff. And again, is there any method to the madness about what makes it good in this context and bad in another one? I don't know. Maybe it just feels like play, like you're solving a puzzle here, whereas it feels like you're getting played when it comes to like trying to figure out something like the Morphogene, to me anyway. And speaking of getting played, let's do that. So holding this function button up here, you're going to get very familiar with that one, but you see at the bottom here there's a transport control for play and stop. If we hit that, we're using the internal clock. The internal clock can be shifted in tempo using the crossfader, and this crossfader is a lot of what goes on here, and it has many different modes. Now there is also a tap tempo, so if we hold function, we can tap tempo on that bottom right one. Very cool. Clock divider on the top left one through a shift function. I'm not using external clock in, but if I was, let's send external clock in. We'll function. We can change the clock division there. Anyway, we're going to use the internal clock for now, but that's how that works. You can adjust the length. Now, one thing to note with the length, though, is that it will create blank space at the end. So if you hit length, we'll extend it. It's going to basically stop playing because there'll be a bunch of blank space. Yeah, there you go. So we want to start on the shorter length. That's fine. I think it can go up to like 16 bars or something. I feel like for me with the Diktaat, you want to just like focus on performing. It's not so much about recording a super long sequence, but keep in mind your divisions and the relationship to the length there. If you want your PPQN to be super fast and have like super high fidelity, I guess, over the steps, then consider dividing them in a certain way. And then the last one is the save. If you want to save what you have going on, hold function and hit save. I'm not going to do that today while we're noodling, but just so you know, it's there. I'm going to hit pause again. So what we have going on in the I/O, we talked about the clock. Here's the break output. That's basically a end of cycle trigger for the break mode. 4 triggers out here. Take this opportunity to talk about if you're not playing anything, you can manually trigger. Actually, I think if you are playing something, you can also manually trigger as well. But here I'll also give you a rundown of the voices. We have the Ultra Kick, the Clap by Erica Synths, the Mutant Hi-Hats by Hex Inverter, and then the Entity Percussion Synthesizer by SSF. for this weird baseline-esque thing. Now, another interesting thing that I think about when I have that one too, it would be fun to have like a drum rhythm here, and then if you wanted to like manually trigger something, like say activate the data bender or something with this, you could totally do that too, right? And there's the other use for the diktat on the other thing. If you don't want to sequence it and you just want to use these as like launch buttons, you could. Don't even hit play, just launch some things with that. But anyway, it's modular. I don't need to give you any new ideas. There's a million different ideas and uses for everything else. But moving down on the panel, we have reset in and out. I'm not going to use either of those here, but remember that the breakout is different than the reset out, because when you are slicing it up in the break section, I didn't make a break core reference there intentionally, but when your break length is different than your reset length, they are going to be sort of the same pulses, but at a different spot. So below that, and keeping in the vein of things that are really cleverly laid out, we have this play button. So when you have in the upper position, it's in the play mode. If you press it down, it locks in sort of at a lower height. Red light is on. The record mode is activated. Then these 4 sections are labeled based on the different modes that you can choose for each. So if we're in play mode right now, the first one is the break mode, the shred mode, the probability, the crossfade. And then if you're in record mode, there is the clear, the copy, the fill, and the chain. So I don't think I'm going to use any chain. The other items are kind of, I don't know, utilities, I guess, that I feel like we probably don't need to go through. You can clear basically things. If I want to clear out my kick track, I'll hit clear the kick. Now if we hit play, we have no click. Okay, so if I exit clear mode here, and then we'll play again, I'm going to add some new kick triggers. So the way you do that on the Diktaat is basically just slap them in. It's all super quantized. I don't know if there are advanced settings for how it's quantized, like to what degree or whatnot, but my horrible finger drumming is always made up for on here, like you just heard. Yeah. So then I'll exit record mode. And then before I come back to the play modes, I'm just going to show you on here, there is 4 banks, which if you hold function, you can select a bank. We're in the first bank. If we go over the second bank, we're in the first pattern within that second bank, second pattern in the second bank, go over to the third bank with the function key, third bank, first pattern. And it's interesting because I don't think there's like a way to clock swing necessarily, and maybe it is in the advanced section, but you can just sort of drum it in and hear it here, right? Like there's some groove to that isn't right on the grid, I don't believe. Here's another one. And the default behavior is it'll jump straight over, but in the advanced settings, I know you can have it cycle to the end of the bar, sort of like you press 1, that'll cue it and go in. So if I go back into my bank, we'll go back to bank 1 and pattern 1, which is the one we were just working on originally that I added those triggers to. Okay, with all that being said, in the interest of keeping it to a reasonable time and scope, I'm just going to go over my 2 favorite modes, which is the X fade. So if we go into the X fade mode, we're standing on the third pattern. And we select, I don't know, let's go the fourth. You can crossfade between the 2. And crossfading in this context means what percentage of triggers are from one and what percentage of triggers are from the other. So the more I go over, I can be completely on the 4th pattern now or completely on the 3rd. But the beautiful part about that is you can generate, unique patterns that aren't either of those by landing somewhere in between, right? So it's a fun variation tool. I mean, both for transitions, but also for just creating something new, right? I've sort of, by mashing the 2 together, I've created something completely new, right? So, if I'm going to stretch my 4 tracks into an entire techno set, which teaser, I'm probably going to be trying to do this next month, it's a great way to do so. And that's rad. Just another tool for creating unique sequences basically from what you have pre-programmed in here. But another one is the probability. So probability is really cool, but you gotta kind of remember what's going on here because it doesn't show you any indication that there's 2 modes to the left and then another to the right. But to the left, it skips triggers, and you won't hear anything change yet because you have to select tracks. So now in the most skipping, our track has gotten a whole lot more sparse. But then to the right, it will skip and add. So now our track has got a whole lot more random. Right? So triggers that are on there are being skipped and added all over the place. Let's go back over to a different track just to hear that. So skipping and adding, somewhere in between. And then in the middle, as indicated by the LEDs below, original sequence, right? So I love that. And while we're going through different performance tools, I'll pause it for a second. There is a mute group. So if you press mute, you can mute everything. So if we hit play again, you won't hear anything, but if you double tap the mute, everything will come back in. We can do mutes here. There's no mute groups, and I think that's completely fine. People love their mute groups, but I mean, there's 4 here, so take it or leave it. I'd say it's pretty easy to do this. I thought I saw a thread on Moog Wiggler where someone was complaining about there not being a solo function, and I just like, it's 4 tracks, who cares? Anyway. That is dipping our toes in the Diktaat. I really think this is something special. If we go into the 4th bank, these are all blank. Alliteration intended. I'll show you one other thing that I liked from the record mode on the fill side. So we'll hit record here, that LED's on, we'll hit fill, and then if you scan through here, you get different fills, and then you can apply them to different tracks. So if I apply this to the kick, I guess I have to hold it in to write it in. But you get this like super linear thing going on, and I really love that. And if you change it around, you can add in other triggers for that reason too. So I want that hi-hat to be more dense. I'll go over to this one, hold it down. Love that. Get into our mute, so we'll go mute my kick. And then I'll unmute my kick with a double tap. Yeah. I don't know. There's something special here. The only thing I'll say when it comes to, so let's go into a blank track again, knowing where to start is a little tough because this is just a limitation of Mzourack, I guess. Like, there's no metronome here, right? So I could patch in the clock output into a kick, although that would be super rapid, but as like a way of a metronome, right? So on that note, I would just say you probably want to be using the fill setting for something, right? Even if it's just 2 here. And I think if I start on the... Yep. Then at least, if I'm going to finger drum, I have something to indicate the tempo, right? So now I can come in here and go, we're recording. Yeah. Instant techno. Like that took... timestamp that was what, like 30 seconds? And I think we can use this to play us out, so super surface level as always, but like, I don't know, there's something special here. It's super fun, and I think we can demonstrate having some fun with it now. So, hey, I'm Tafony, thank you so much for watching. Take care, like, comment, subscribe, do all that crap that YouTube's always on my case, but not promoting to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.